Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. While this is technically not the first of these commentaries that we've done for Black History Month, this to me feels like, in a sense, something of a fresh start. Now, we have done Princess and the Frog, an extraordinary movie, and one could sort of say we did Blindside, but only as a way to showcase of how messed up that movie was in regards to that. I don't consider that the best representation, but hey, maybe not all of our Black History movies are going to be winners, essentially. That being said, this certainly is one, and it's going to be a bit of a heavier one, because this really does delve into the topics of racism in the history of America, but also how we have risen above it, and while it is unfortunately still present to this day, know that things have thankfully gotten somewhat better since then. Again, we're still fighting the fight, and that is sadly part of why I had to think extra long and hard of which movie to do for this year. But yes, we will be tackling a Chadwick Boseman movie, one of my heroes in Hollywood, a man sadly taken far too long from us. I was originally going to do his documentary on Disney+, but apparently for whatever reason that was a temporary one that got pulled. But no, our first Chadwick Boseman project will not be Civil War, will not be Black Panther, won't be anything MCU related, even though that is, I don't want to say sadly, but unfortunately the thing he's remembered for the most. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but man, looking back at the history of movies he's done, essentially, I do think it's a bit of a disservice to only think of him as Black Panther.
The few research that I did for this movie, Jova says that this movie in particular was actually instead his star-making role. Like he started, getting more recognized from this movie onward.
Which is good. The sad thing is that by the time of his death, most people only really remember the Black Panther stuff.
It's the persona effect.
He also played James Brown, right?
Yes, and Thurgood Marshall.
So basically he told his agent, "Legends only, please."
But yes, today we're looking at, as Tio mentioned, the role that actually put Chadwick Boseman on the map. 42. A sports biographical drama based off of one Jackie Robinson, the first black major athlete to make it in the Major League of Baseball. And his story is, like many, a very, very inspiring tale, but not one without hardships, unfortunately. So, in the context of this movie, essentially, this was a movie that was directed by Brian Helgeland,
the writer, one of the writers of The Postman. Well, to be fair, he also was the director and writer and producer of A Knight's Tale, which is at least a guilty pleasure to me. So there is that.
And of course stars Chadwick Boseman, Harrison Ford, Nicole Beharie, Andre Holland, Lucas Black, Alan Tudyk, and Ryan Merriman, just to name a few, essentially. Now, this movie was actually a really, really big project since arguably plans for this were as early as 1995 when, of course, Spike Lee had wanted to direct such a biopic. However, as you can imagine, the project fell through due to creative differences and later financial challenges, and it carried on for a long while. Finally, in 2011, Legendary Pictures took over, collaborating with Jackie Robinson's widow, Rachel, to ensure that the movie would be authentic and, make sure we get stuff right. Now, they do take some creative liberties, but I'm happy to report that those creative liberties are more so to emphasize a bit of the drama, essentially, not in a way that makes it needlessly inaccurate, thankfully.
So Jackie's not gonna fight an alien invasion. Bummer.
No, I'm sorry to say that is not the case. The production actually even used digital recreations of historical stadiums and involved local extras too. So yes, they did their research, their history, and they went all out here. In fact, Boseman even trained to replicate Robinson's mannerisms and connected with Rachel, his widow, for character insights. So yeah, filming began in 2012 across locations like Chattanooga, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama, and even within the Ingalls Stadium, standing in for the Brooklyn Dodgers Ebbets Field. It was so big that it was screened at the White House and premiered at TCL Chinese Theater in Los Angeles.
This was 2013, so practically the beginning of the second Obama administration. I can believe that.
It was also re-released in theaters after Boseman's death, which, again, good respects to him. But enough talking up the film. Let's actually have a look at this picture. So, start at the Warner Brothers logo, and let's begin in 3, 2, 1, click.
Alright, two things. One, with this title, make your own Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy here, because of, the question. Second,
I have not seen that movie.
Well, even the story of the movie you should know. Second, since this movie involves a lot of baseball, do I need to know anything about the sports to get it?
It's relatively simple. I mean, okay, I will say it's like, maybe some stuff like stealing base, the innings and whatnot, but it's relatively simple. Like, the simple concepts of, ins, outs, strikes, home runs, and all that. As long as you know that, you should be good for this movie.
Yeah, haven't you played Wii Sports?
First of all, remember that we saw Hook a few years ago, so, technically that's that. But my experience with baseball is a movie called Hardball, which it's not really good. It has Keanu Reeves being the coach of a team of kids for baseball, and at the end...
I saw that movie.
At the end, they kill one of the kids for cheap drama value. It's so tasteless.
Yeah, I saw it. God, that was Keanu Reeves.
Wait. Which movie?
Hardball, 2001.
Oh, Hardball.
So, Dutch, have you... yeah.
So, Dutch, have you seen this movie?
No.
Ah, cool, you're in for a treat.
Alright, budget 31-40 million. I can imagine not too much of a special effects outside of the location, like Jova said. Recouping 97.5, so it's not a lot, but should have still been a profit.
I believe this was still around the time where you just needed to make double your budget to be considered profitable, so it was considered a hit.
Also, April release of 2013. Also, stock footage. Yeah, all this beginning have been stock footage. Go on. I'll check it out.
Also, it was actually a record breaker for a baseball film since its opening was $27.5 million.
I can imagine this, outside of the themes of the actual people involved, baseball is a sport that is mostly more famous in America, so I can imagine it made much like, The Blind Side, obviously for different reasons, but it will still make more of a profit there locally than internationally.
I mean, baseball is popular in Japan.
True, Konami has an entire IP about that.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was released in April?
So yes, in 1947, that's when Robinson entered play.
Okay, Dimitrov told me that the movie, not erroneously, but at least, act like Jackie was the first major African-American, baseball player, but apparently that title goes to a person from the end of the 1800s. It's just a matter of, the most prominent person who entered during the modern era, from what I understand.
When was MLB? When did MLB first start?
I'm getting the quote in a second. Let me see.
Because if I recall correctly, he is titled as the first MLB black player.
Yes.
Let me see, because I remember reading it in preparation of this, so... The first MLB player counted would be Moses Fleetwood Walker, which served the Toledo Blue Stockings from 1884 until 1889, when the MLB officially erected its color barrier. It's more accurate to say that Robinson was the first black man to play Major League Baseball in the modern age.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And here's Harrison Ford in his element playing the wise old man who does not take anyone's shit.
Oh, they did quite the makeup to make him more similar to the real person, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much old, because Harrison Ford was already old by 2013, so...
Is that the opposing player yelling at him?
Yeah. Not quite. There he is. Okay, yes, Jackie Robinson was a bit of a smart aleck.
Oof. Anyway, no, I checked, and right before and after the release of this movie, the competition was borderline non-existent. Closest I can think of is that right before this, the movies that got released nearby were G.I. Joe Retaliation, and sure, it did money, but not that much. Stephanie Meyer's the host, we already talked enough about that.
I have no idea what that is.
It's a
Eventually,
terrible
me
movie.
and Pedro will enlighten you. Then there was nearby Scary Movie 5, sorry, The Lords of Salem, and the best competition that I will say was Iron Man 3, but that was released at the beginning of August, so way, way after this movie would have been able to be in danger of competition.
Yeah, they played their cards right with the release of this movie, it seems.
Okay, I don't know actually when it stopped, but I do remember that for a long time, summer release was considered box office poison just as much as January.
Was that before Jaws came and wrote the book on the summer blockbuster? Because I have not remembered summer to be, like, box office poison for quite some time.
I don't know. Oh boy. How kind of you.
Uh-huh.
I never heard Harrison Ford talk like this in a movie before.
Puts on an accent.
Again, between the makeup and the accent, he's clearly out of his usual comfort zone, so that's kind of a unique thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
What other films was he in the year this came out? I'll have to have a look.
2013? That's a good question.
But yeah, he plays Branch Rickey, the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers, essentially. Major figurehead in helping bust down the doors of racism on the sport of baseball.
Yeah, the only other major things that I do know about baseball is that the New York Yankees tend to have the coolest hat, and the Red Sox tend to be the lamest team to root for, apparently.
And of course, the running joke with the Chicago Bears, though they broke that in 2016.
Well, in this, in 2013, there was also in a film called Paranoia.
Might have heard of that.
It's that movie where Liam Hemsworth does that weird run.
Oof.
Never heard of that
Ender's
one.
Game.
Oh, that's a bit of a landmine, Wibs. I'll tell you more privately later. I just say that I do know about the story.
Don't worry, I know all about it. And Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting together a team. Oh, wait.
I mean, I've already got a team. I just want to add you to it.
Like, does this movie ends with a post-credit scene where Robinson meets Jody Maggio or something?
God, imagine.
Well, I hope not, because from what I heard, outside of being a good player, Jody Maggio was kind of a terrible person.
Mm-hmm. The film ends with Jackie Robinson meeting Babe Ruth.
Which I'm guessing for the standards of 1947 was a lot at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it works for sports in America in general, but football/soccer player in Europe tends to be stupidly rich, and I mean stupidly.
Let's see, 600 in 1945 is the equivalent to today's value of $10,520.17. I'll admit, actually, Harrison Ford's acting was such a departure that when I first saw this movie, I didn't recognize him at first.
It's kind of like some actors who showed up in Oppenheimer also had something like this going on. Heavy makeup to make them more recognizable, like the real-life counterpart of the people they interpret, and going with a bit of an accent.
Which, hey, credit to credit, it's not the movie just trying to shamelessly use said actor's likeness to make a quick buck.
This kind of reminds me to an extent of when animators at companies like Disney want to create a product and they've been told the executives literally go up to their faces, they present to them, non-safe for work images and say, people will do this to your creation, so you better, deal with this right now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you think there's a psycho creator that's like, good, I hope so?
Well, we do know that the Disney Vault does contain official non-safe for work material done by the actual animators at Disney, so...
I swear, it feels
pick.
like it's... I feel like it's always with the family-friendly stuff, there's the most hidden, not safe for work fan art that the animators actually made.
I'm guessing the 42 is the actual, player number that Robinson got? Okay.
Yep. He later went on to become so big that in 1997, they officially retired the number in honor of him, essentially.
Huh. I also partially like how the caption for both the title and, the location are stylized in a typewriter, type of font to give it a bit more pizzazz for the time it did take place.
Yep.
Well,
About
it's interesting
that.
at the time of this recording, Jackie Robinson's widow is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rachel Robinson. And again,
she's 102.
Damn.
Wow, good for her. She's part of the reason that this movie is as good as it was, because they made sure to heavily consult her for this.
By the time they were filming this, she was 90.
You're not in Las Vegas.
Right, so who's this? Is this Rachel Robinson in the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I believe this is them about to get married.
Played by Nicole Behari. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Let me check her filmography.
Definitely remember her from Sleepy Hollow. The series.
Oh, the series, yeah. Me and Dad just saw recently the Tim Burton movies. I was trying to think.
which is an episode of Black Mirror.
Okay, I don't think I saw any of the movies she was in. I didn't even know there was a
Striking Vipers.
I had no idea there was a 2019 remake of Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure if I want to see it.
Is the original problematic, or is it a case where
the original is considered quite the classic, so remaking that is kind of having to fill big shoes. And apparently, Wikipedia tells me that the percentage of Rotten Tomatoes for that one is 4%. Poof.
Damn.
I'll give it more of a look after we're done with this movie. As for this, since I didn't mention, let's see what the reception of this was. 81%. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Oh.
Yeah.
Ah.
The 1940s. Loved the aesthetic. Did not like a lot of the rules at the time.
I mean, they were apparently the Second World War
I
was...
love the look of the author, like, what?
Because the Second World War had only just ended, and there was still all that.
There was technically, in general, there's a growing sense of optimism. Well, it wouldn't last long because the Cold War would have started not too long after this. But as showcased here, it wasn't all, sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah. Wow.
They just happened to not have room on the plane suddenly.
Uh-huh. He's gonna go Karen on your ass.
Mm-mm-mm.
Daytona.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. You said you loved the aesthetic, not the rules. Kind of reminds me of those posts. I'd be like, "Oh man, I was born in the wrong era. I should have been born in the Middle Ages." I'm like, "You have not have been a knight. I'm sorry."
Mm-mm. There may have been, I think, some Black Knights, but, sadly not the norm. Also, you can tell this is in the past because JCPenney is still alive and well.
Ouch.
Although I guess they're still...
Tell me how you really feel about JCPenney.
Okay, can I get an explanation?
It's a store.
Okay.
It's a store.
Okay.
Like Target.
Department store, mainly.
Is Fat Farm still a thing?
I don't know. Anyway, basically, JCPenney has been facing a lot of financial issues. He even filed for bankruptcy back in 2020. They may soon go the way of Bon-Ton and Toys R Us.
Hooters recently filed for bankruptcy.
Wow, truly the end of an era. Guess that Sonic Forces deal didn't do them the favors they were hoping it would.
God, imagine having to go to Florida.
Humidity
And it's not
must I take.
going to Florida without going to Orlando or Tampa.
All
God
right.
damn it.
Also, I keep forgetting, the most dangerous creature in the whole universe, the Florida man.
So apparently, I need to look into it, but apparently it's a law that they have to report
Yeah,
every
that's the
single
reason
crime.
why it's so weird. They paste, and it's always the most inconsequential news potentially, because they were kind of obligated to do it.
Yeah.
It says something that apparently everything shown in the trailers of GTA 6 is actually accurate to stuff that's happened in Florida.
Oh yeah, someone made a video comparison.
Mm-hmm. This is Robinson's sports writer, Wendell Smith.
Let me see who is played by Andre Holland. Or Holland. This was relatively early in his career.
He's mainly known for being in that Moonlight movie.
Oh, okay, the one that won Best Picture. Oh, it was also A Wrinkle in Time. Oops.
Oh god, that movie.
Also, Bones and All, I actually know about that movie. It's from an Italian director.
So we got the manager. Was it Montreal Dodgers?
No.
Brooklyn Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Oh, Brooklyn Dodgers. Okay. Leo Durocher. He's played by Christopher Maloney. He's mainly known for being in Law and Order SVU.
Oh, okay, if it's a French name, it would be pronounced Durocher, but I don't know if it's the case.
Well, if he's head of a Montreal team, maybe.
Maybe it's a case where, the last name originated, but the family then moved on to another place. It's very common. Oh, this guy was in Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. And 12 Monkeys early in his career. Huh. Yeah, for these shots I can see more Harrison Ford's facial features. I'm guessing they were like filmed in two different occasions and days.
Blunt and to the point.
Yeah.
Which I think happened more often. I mean, it has happened a couple of times here in Britain when it comes to football. For example, managers being pretty racist, and they end up getting the chop for being racist.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw this guy too. Let me see.
Let's see.
Maloney, he was also in Dinosaurs.
The Disney movie.
No, the ABC TV
okay.
show.
Oh, the G. Manson.
The one with that ending.
Yeah, that was a choice. Also, I know that, but I still kind of like the Disney movie instead.
It's a tech demo.
Yeah.
Okay, is he going to pitch properly, or is he going to be a dick?
Here we go. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
He walked him. Oop. He's gonna try and steal pace on him.
Hmm.
This is an interesting era as well for the where even the referees were wearing really fancy suits.
I guess in order to
Yeah.
be, considering there was, no major broadcast, it was a case of, being more recognizable for the audience.
And dressing your best.
Surprised they allowed their suits to get dirty.
I know some people lament that we don't dress fancy all the time these days, but honestly, I just wonder how people back then took the heat with some of those outfits. Played them for fools.
Yeah, for example, I don't really understand this particular maneuver in baseball.
basically,
it's you can steal a player can steal a base before the pitch is being thrown to catch the pitcher off guard.
It depends on which base he's going
for.
Too. Yeah, it also depends on which base he's going for, as you saw. Like, hence him sort of switching it up there and there.
It's also mind games.
Okay.
That too, yeah.
Okay, I guess you needed the power stance. Oh. Fucking idiot.
Got in his head.
Yeah, it's not my fault I dropped it. Wait.
Gotta love it. He didn't get to hit a home run, but he pretty much made that home run work without it.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, messed with him.
Beautiful. It has some bits, but I assure you, for the most part, you don't have to be a baseball whiz to get it. And the movie focuses more on his achievements specifically rather than the entirety of, the specifics of baseball.
I can't imagine. But Drova, how else can we get, what's the name? How else can we get United Passion-esque movie about the story of the MLB corporation?
Jesus Christ.
Honestly, considering how some heads of American sports are more big-headed than others, from what I could get anyway, I'm surprised Roger Goodell hasn't made a Passions-esque movie about himself. Yeah, is he the guy that runs NFL?
Mm.
That hasn't happened yet.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mr. Brock is played by the actor that I recognize, James Pickens Jr. This was technically his last movie role, but he's been doing television, after this.
Huh. Guess he ended on a good film.
I may have seen in Grey's Anatomy one episode or two.
I
swear.
That was a show when I was in elementary school.
Still going.
Yeah, and apparently Grace not even in the show anymore.
No,
I know, I was about to say. She hasn't been in the show for a while now, I think.
I understand, this actor, James Pickens Jr., is actually one of the main characters there. But I might have seen somewhere else, like the movie Red Dragon, for example. Oh boy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Get the heck out of Dodge. True story. That is apparently how Jackie Robinson reacted. Man was that dedicated to the game.
It kind of reminds me of a classic joke in my country where someone enters a bus and says, "This is a stick up, hand over like your jewelry, phone, and money." And someone says, "Oh, thank God! I thought it was like the ticket controller or something."
Yeah.
I assume they say that in Italian, right?
Yeah.
As well.
I don't know
Yeah.
what the specific English term is for the role. Basically, the guy who checks if you actually bought the ticket and otherwise fines you.
Nowadays, you have QR codes.
Also, I don't know who that sheriff is actually played by, but he kind of, I know it's not him, but he kind of looked a bit like Patty Ingle.
Also, if we didn't explain it prior, basically, Dwibs, the reason for the M on their caps is Robbins is training with the Montreal Royals to see if he can qualify for the majors to get up in the Brooklyn Dodgers, and oh yeah. The joke will very much be on you, sir.
Oh.
So yes, there were decent people, thankfully. It is one thing that unfortunately does frustrate me with some movies that try and tackle racism when they
stereotypes rather than caricature rather than actual characters.
It's one thing I feel that, again, stuff like Detroit Become Human failed at by portraying almost everyone save for the few named characters as basically bigoted, essentially. Again, that's not to say that it was not a problem, but one thing that does need to be said about the civil rights movement is a lot of it did come from, us blacks, but there were legit helpful people, Caucasian, other nationalities or races or whatnot who, were not racist or bigoted, essentially. And I do feel like it's a problem when you try and portray everyone who's not the minority as racist, save for like a very, very, very minor few, because I feel like that kind of misrepresents how
it's also
things
tied
go.
to a growing sense of despair, Joe, that has been going on for a few years at the very least. Combine that with known figure who actually prides themselves to be, pro, liberal policies turning out to be terrible people in the end. So it gives an extra edge of, you shouldn't trust anyone.
Yeah. Again, I appreciate this movie for doing the research and, not just going the easy sympathy route by making almost every white person a bigot and jerk to Jackie.
Thank God.
Mm-hmm. Because look, as a black man myself, I repeat, do not eschew the problem to make it look like everyone is like that, because you ever heard the thing about a self-fulfilled prophecy? The more you get people to really think like that, the more you might actually make that a reality. No thanks.
Still keep them on your toes, but still.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You know, for some people, this was the first movie they ever saw with Chadwick Boseman that didn't have him doing the Wakanda accent, so many people were shocked. Oh, that's what he really sounds like.
Also, I never actually held a baseball ball in my hands. Is it true that, well, I guess nowadays not really, but for most of the time they were actually filled with sand.
Some were, I believe. Didge?
I'm sorry. Did you just say baseball ball?
That's not the term.
No, it's just called a baseball.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, no.
Okay.
I was
So that
imagining
was
because
probably-
they may be an actual hazard.
International League?
Yes, the big leagues.
You know that existed. I mean, there has been some MLB games played here in Britain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're trying to get the sport more noticed over there. One thing that's especially been a success is our American Football League having some stadiums over in Europe.
The only in terms of broadcast, we the channel that broadcasts it replaces the regular commentators with our own.
Yeah.
And,
Do they study up on the sport?
Well, I assume they do. I don't really know much about it. I know in the case of MLB, they got the BT Sport that had the rights at the time. Got the guy who normally is their lead football commentator to do a baseball game, and from what I've heard, he knows the lingo pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot speak for my country because I don't actually know if that happens or not. I can imagine it might, but I do not know if so and in what capacity.
It would probably be okay, question. Do both of you guys' countries do basketball at least?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Also volleyball. Again, golf. Again, when it comes to sport, yes, football/soccer is the one that is paraded the most everywhere and everything. But I can tell you that ever since the mid-2000s, at least for my country, there was a growing effort. Oh, there you go. There was a growing effort of giving relevance to other sports.
How's basketball over there?
Oh, it's pretty relevant. Again, you have to understand that it's one of a thing. There's football/soccer up top, and then a good chunk below, on the same kind of level, all the others, but without major disparities.
Eight months
months
later,
later.
yes.
Well, if 1,000 words told me anything, that means you're gonna have somehow the same exact problems for no particular reason.
God damn it.
Even though
it's a terrible, terrible movie. That
okay, Deads. You know how Eddie Murphy's great with his mouth in general.
Oh,
Don't take
that movie that my mom told me about.
Yep, the movie.
How bad that is.
the movie that thought it would be a good idea to limit how much Eddie Murphy can talk.
Fun fact, from the same director of that hardball movie I mentioned in the beginning. Actually,
he's now the head of Paramount Pictures.
What?
This guy, Brian Robbins, has a terrible resume for this stuff because he did stuff like Norbit, Meet Dave, the 2006 Shaggy Dog movie.
The Tim Allen one?
Ready to Rumble in the year 2000, and I know you guys like it, but he was also the major director and, not the writer, but producer of Good Burger.
Yeah, seriously, the guy that made those terrible movies, he's now the co-CEO of of Paramount Global as a whole. He's president of Nickelodeon and president and CEO of the Pictures Group.
I mean,
since 2020. I say seriously, this guy's like the filmmaking definition of failing upward.
What? Also, I can see this guy's veins on his arm. What the hell?
He's got that blood pressure really going from his bad activities.
Also, what is that tie? I know that there's kind of a curse of it. There's no such thing as a good-looking, perfect-looking tie in the world, but still.
Looks like he's got a door on the tie.
Maybe he's a fan of. Okay, no, that Doctor Who was not a thing at that point yet. Fuck.
Unless we're counting time travel.
Yeah, let's go with that. The newest incarnation of the Doctor helped him become the star that he is. Sure.
Could you imagine? And then the movie suddenly became about time travel.
Well, we already established, Lives, that sadly Robinson will not fight aliens, so that is kind of excluded. I guess not every movie can be Space Jam.
A movie about famous historical figures fighting aliens.
Well, not exactly like that, Liz, but there's Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. It's fucking cool, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, I mean, that movie is from the guy that directed Ben-Hur, and that film literally made me sick, so I'm not exactly in a rush to go see it.
I know the book was good. I read that. I have not seen the movie yet.
Also
what book?
Abraham Lincoln Vampire.
Oh, that was a book?
Yeah, it was an adaptation. Yes. Similar to Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, the idea of recontextualizing classic literature, operas, or historical figures in a more supernatural context.
Not gonna lie, I kind of wish Keira Knightley were in that movie. Imagine she was in Pride and Prejudice again, but she was facing zombies.
It'll never not be funny knowing that Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter count the same year as Lincoln. The movie that I was forced to watch at school on a field trip because it's either you watch this movie or you stay at school and do assignments. Watch the movie.
What the hell are you doing? Like, why do you have your elbow stuck in the ice bucket? I mean, if you want to cool off, why just the elbow? Is he injured?
So,
he probably threw something so hard.
So they're making a petition that they don't want to play with Jackie Robinson because...
Oh my god, this was the same year as the host when the guys were like, we took a boat!
Because, well, I think I get the reason why.
Go fuck yourself. There you go.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do too.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a sad thing. I mean, it's pretty much like today when people would say, "I don't want to play with this conveniently black person," but it's not because we're racist. I swear. Then they have to do all this verbal dress up so they don't sound racist or they'll get
Mental
cancelled.
gymnastics, Dweebs.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's funny, Dweebs, there's a common joke here in my country, which is hilarious considering everything, to actually out someone like with that kind of attitude, where they will say in a situation, "Oh, it's not that I am racist; it's them who are like what they like that."
That said, Brick Ranty has heard of this
Why is
petition.
he keeping the telephone on his belly?
Because he knows he's going to keep calling him.
Okay, so about that petition, let's see the payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Leo DeRutcher was a real one, essentially. Yes, he cheated a lot, but when it came to civil rights, he was, well, like I said, a real one. That quote about the stripes is actually a real thing. He was quoted as saying, "I do not care if the guy is yellow or black or if he has stripes like a fucking zebra. I'm the manager of this team and I say he plays. What's more, I say he can make us all rich, and if any of you cannot use the money, I will see that you are all traded." And under him, it was seen to it that Robinson would be welcome on to the Brooklyn Dodgers officially.
Well, yes, because the people that signed that petition are a bunch of idiots.
New York City.
Think he's not used to a big city like that.
I'm not sure how Pasadena is like, but I'm guessing it's not as busy as New York City.
Probably.
I mean, it crosses my mind less than the guy who sleeps with a phone on his naked chest.
Let me check something in the meantime. Yeah, My Country, for the title of the movie, translated it literally 42, the true story of an American legend. Yeah, it was properly released in distribution, not even limited. I don't remember the marketing of this, though. It was summer 2013. I should have at least been able to see the trailer, but alas, don't remember.
Ah, here we go. Yeah, remember that bit with him kind of cheating on his wife? Ah, yeah. It has consequences.
Oops.
It wasn't adultery a crime back then.
Not sure about it being a crime, but it was definitely frowned upon by, well, a big organization, the Catholic Youth Organization, as
Career
he's just
ender,
mentioned.
basically, lives.
Nowadays, it's like,
Yeah. Well, again, I already told you, Dej, about that politician when my country was infested from the 90s, almost Silvio Berlusconi. He practically made it a marketing.
Good lord. So yeah, suspended for a year.
Bummer.
Okay. On one hand, it's his fault for committing adultery in the first place. But on the other hand, yeah, this is pretty bad news for the team.
Yeah.
Which poses all the problems. Since Jackie is set to try and join the team, but Unfortunately, without a manager, they wouldn't even be able to play. Wait for it.
Shit.
There we go. Effective.
I'm guessing he also, Chadwick Boseman studied to also replicate the signature.
Mm-hmm. He studied all Robinson's moves for this movie.
His pen moves from the look of it.
So in some cases, like this, it's quite the the effort. In cases like Gotti, not so much.
Okay, I hear a lot about Gotti, but
Eventually,
I have not
Jova,
seen
don't
that
worry,
movie.
you'll be able to witness the not even horror, stupidity, more like.
Oh boy. Is that John Travolta movie?
Yes, and for some reason the soundtrack was made by Pitbull. The most appropriate for a biopic about a mafia guy.
Mr. Worldwide himself.
Christ, that'd be like if you had a movie about the Pope, but the music was done by
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
I was gonna say Metallica.
Yes, yes. Have Metallica give us a flaming death metal score
about the Pope.
God, it's been so long I don't remember. There was a Brooklyn Dodgers player that Casper had, an autographed baseball of, but I forgot which player was that.
Which Casper?
The first
movie.
That was
The
quote-unquote
movie
treasure that he had, but I forgot which player was. Maybe it's mentioned.
It was a Brooklyn Dodgers player. Yeah, I forgot who it.
Maybe
because Pedro showed it to one of my friends a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, hope my condolences if they had the typical reaction most people have when seeing that movie.
Duke Snyder.
Okay, then.
He's finally made it to the big leagues. Ebbets Field.
Does that still exist?
The stadium, no, Joe also mentioned in the beginning, the movie kind of made it a point that they use a different stadium and CGI'd the surrounding to reconstruct it meticulously to be like how it looked back then. From what I understand from the reception, apparently they did a good job. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, around here in the UK, the only time we sing the national anthem before a sports game is when it's an international fixture, like involving the country, or during or just before a major cup final.
And usually, I don't know how it happens to you in our country days, but the few times that I see it's usually for football like soccer. And when it does, it's mostly in the instrumental and the actual player on the field. You can tell from the close-up that the cameras do. They actually do sing, but they're not audible.
Whenever major sports come over here, they play both the American and British national anthems.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Dr. Cox.
Huh. What is he
Yep,
doing
John.
Oh
here?
wait, that's the guy from Scrubs.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
John C. McGinley's in this.
Also, the second in command of the main bad guy in Highlander 2 who gets thrown off the balcony. To be fair, Scrubs was way over this point, so I guess he needed something to do.
Do you mean that guy with the weird evil laugh?
Yeah, I think that's him.
He was also one of the bad guys in The Rock.
Yeah, I remember that. I think he's the guy that gets killed during the mine cart sequence.
He plays Captain Hendricks in the thing, but he was killed a bit early on into the heist.
Also, I forgot, he voiced Metallo in Superman Batman Public Enemies.
Yep.
He was also in crap, I forgot what that movie that came out in 2017 where people had to kill who worked in the office had to kill each other.
The two movies
Velcro Experiment.
The two movies that he's in that were released in 2017 are called Battle of the Sexes and The Good Catholic, so I don't know about that, Edge.
Oh, it was 2016, the Velcro Experiment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is true. I remember that.
Written by James Gunn.
Maybe too much good health. Yep. If I recall correctly, we have that to thank for the baby boom partially. So yeah, Ricky here is convincing former player Bert Shodden to sub in as their manager.
Dude, I'm old.
I know it's not him, but he looks like Christopher Lloyd.
A bit, yeah.
Well, you're technically not playing. Come on, would you say no to Indiana Jones?
The outfits that Harrison Ford has been wearing make him more look like the professor attire than Indiana Jones has than in his own movies.
Mm-hmm.
This is got off to a good start.
Oh, this bit.
Oh.
Yes, the other side of racism. Those who were, quote unquote, positive in our sake, saying that, oh, blacks just had a physiological advantage.
Damn muties.
Sure.
Gonna overthrow us.
That doesn't
Oh,
even
this-
make doesn't even make any sense.
Well,
Okay.
sometimes even something that sounds very logical to you does not to someone else, unfortunately.
Well, he got pawned anyway, so
Pretty much, yeah.
There we go.
How's that for your heel bone?
Yeah, he's tapping. I can just imagine tapping in now. Some fucking racist idiot trying to make up bullshit about a guy's heel bone being longer. Wonder when the referees, dressed in what they wear pretty much nowadays.
Not sure.
I had to guess days with the rise of television, probably between the 70s and the 80s.
Ah, yes, Ben Chapman. Consider him definitely the closest thing to a central bad guy for this film, essentially. Ben Chapman was historically an up-and-coming baseball player, went on to become manager for the Philadelphia team, essentially. However, he would not be remembered so much for his achievements in baseball as much as he would be remembered for his blatant racism.
Yeah, I can see that.
And yes, he did encourage his teammates to try and beam Jackie Robinson with the ball pitchers.
Jesus.
He's played by Alan Tudyk.
Huh.
Dude, except the N-word.
Put that in the next Disney meeting resume.
Good lord.
Jesus. There we go.
Sorry, just the idea of Alan Tudyk being racist was like, no.
Can't believe Optimus Prime said the N-word.
I can't believe the Joker said, oh wait.
Well, that's the thing. That's an actual debate that people had. Would the Joker actually intentionally say his lure to get the attention, or would he fear cancellation as not getting any more attention afterward?
Joker would actually be the kind of person who fears being canceled for being racist. Not because, he cares that people see him as a good or
But
bad
he cares
guy.
about attention for himself, so yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is the Joker needs to be canceled. Joker, what did you do? I abused Harley. Okay, wow, I can't have that.
But don't worry, the story with Ben Chapman has a happy ending.
Uh-huh.
What does he get pies thrown at him and told to get out the the arena.
I was going to say that he gets accidentally killed by one of those, machines that shoots baseball, at high speed. But I guess they were not invented yet.
Don't worry, in due time.
Alan Tudyk plays the role well.
Oh yes, definitely.
Although is that okay? I know he's an actor and he's what he's meant to do, but he plays a racist one. That's not a very flattering comment, is it?
Sometimes,
well, somebody has to do it.
Like you also noted when we did, I forgot the name. The movie. The movie about the last days of Hitler. Forgot the name. Your favorite.
Downfall?
Yeah, Downfall. Someone has to play the character. Of course, it also depends on the context. If it's something like, say, Jojo Rabbit or Inglourious Basterds, where you play more for laughs, I can imagine, there's a bit more levity for that. But sometimes drama recreation, unfortunately, demands that people do have to remember what actually happened.
I remember how uncomfortable Leonardo DiCaprio was apparently about it when shooting Django Unchained.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson, I say it all the time.
Again, it's not a topic that's clearly not as cut and dry and easy in other directions, but I get the idea that for the sake of actually, not sugarcoating what actually happened, art need to take sometimes risks.
Yes. Speaking of which, this is a bit of an artistic liberty. Jackie Robinson apparently did not break down and break his bat, but I get why they included this scene, because Jesus
with the lighting,
Christ.
They really wanted that Oscar shot.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, let me check if this was nominated for anything. There we go. Okay. Wow. It was not nominated for a single Academy Award. Let me see. It was only nominated for nothing for the American Black Film Festival for Most Promising Performer, of course. Black Reel Award for Outstanding Breakthrough Performance Male. 45th NAACP Image Awards. Chicago Film Critics Association Awards 2013, Satellite Awards, St. Louis Film Critics Association Awards, and San Francisco Film Critics Circle Awards 2013. Wow. I really think it should have at least get a nomination at the Oscar.
Yeah, it definitely deserved nominations more than The Blind Side.
Well, okay, this was 2013. Let me see what was the competition back then. Can imagine it was not that much, but, just for the record. There you go, the 86. Oh, of course. Of course. There was another 2013 movie that decided to enchant the Oscars back then. 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, that movie. Look, I haven't seen that movie yet. I've heard some accusations that it's kind of Oscar bait. Dedge, have you seen it?
What movie?
12 Years a Slave.
I've heard of it.
I've seen it.
I haven't seen it. How is
you've seen it, Dead Whips?
I have, yeah.
Was it, actually good?
I'd say it was good enough, if only for at least for Chiwetel Ejiofor.
I'm guessing that was the movie that swept up a lot of the
Not
Oscar
all of them,
nominations.
but I can see that it won a couple of them, at least Best Picture. What I will contest is that Best Actor in a Leading Role instead was won by Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club. Like,
really?
Yeah, that's my reaction too. Like Leonardo DiCaprio as Jordan Belfort for The Wolf of Wall Street was nominated, and I argue he deserved that. But then again, this was the period where the meme was that the Oscars were clowning on Leonardo DiCaprio, so there is that. Also, this was also the year where, for the same movie that was Buyer Club, Jared Leto was Best Supporting Actor. So,
I guess this was before Jared Leto became the meme he is nowadays.
well, the first Suicide Squad movie was not too far off from here. So
Yeah, it came out in 2016. Was this before or after he formed the cult?
I don't remember. All right, here we go. Alan Tudyk looks like he's stoned here.
Yeah.
Well, props to it, props to him, not for
Yes, Robinson did definitely win favor with the Dodgers, who would stand up for him at times like that. In fact, it was part of that would lead to Chapman's downfall. But again, more on that later. Okay, they totally got John C. McGinley because someone was a fan of Scrubs. Not that I'm complaining, he definitely gets the
He knew how to
snark
insult
tone.
someone.
Yeah.
I mean, check if in my country they got the same voice actor for him. And it usually happens where, actors specifically do get recurring voice actors for consistency's sake.
I'll admit, my first John C. McGinley movie was actually Are We Done Yet? So that was him actually. I'll just say this, he actually acts happy-go-lucky in that film, so I was actually shocked when I saw him in Scrubs act the complete opposite of that. Apparently Scrubs is more his norm.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's clearly the role that landed him more, that...
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, it was not given the same voice actor. Weird. Yeah, that's one sad piece of technology that I'm curious when it happened. Like, when did they finally introduce the automated, score system instead of the poor fuckers having to change manually every single digit?
Yeah, imagine climbing up that ladder just to change the score.
Like, those have to be big so that the audience can see, so...
I mean, if it was a low-scoring game, the job's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm, but for a stadium be like this, not so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A little hard.
So, yes, Chapman, needless to say, thanks to his attitude, would see his reputation ruined, essentially. There was actually growing support for Robinson, not just from the Dodgers, but the community in general, to the point where even the media was hopping on him.
I mean, you know it's bad when the media of the 40s is harping on you for being racist.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I like him or anything, blah 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 blah. Also, this is a good showcase of something else that is slightly contested, but I do believe has relevance. That a lot of people who normally have prejudices of usually any kind, for a lot of them, all that it takes is actually to experience, or at least come in contact with the supposed people they are against, and actually understanding that they're not that different. Again, I know that a lot of people tend to be contending this kind of mentality because they think it's not infallible, and I partially agree. But I do believe that there is some degree of merit to at least try. Well, let me actually respond in kind to you then. Vaffanculo. I know that. Okay, I am curious. When did the prejudice against Italian and Irish stopped in America? Because I know it definitely stopped earlier.
I'm not too sure on that one. I think it may have been subsiding by the time the Second World War ended.
I know that during the war, actively Italian immigrants were actually, let's just say, convinced to participate during the invasion of Sicily because they might, know something of the terrain or talk with the locals.
Mm. Yeah. There's a line for the ages.
Yeah, I could agree with that guy. Like,
It's definitely something a lot of so-called Christians should consider.
So the attitude back then in places like this was, "Oh, black guy's scary."
Yep.
Ugh.
That guy with that haircut looks kind of like Koopa in the Super Mario movie of the 90s. My god.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, King Koopa was racist in his own terms, so...
Yeah.
Mhm.
He was also based off Trump. Yeah. Yeah, you have to realize before he became president, he was still a big deal.
I know. Even was in a couple of worst movies nominated by the Razzies during their early years. I think The Lonely Lady or Bolero, one of the two. This is also another thing, Lives. I think I mentioned when we commented on those, but I'm partially relatively glad that the three stories about the journey for the FIFA story mode games took for granted that Alex Saunter's role in the team was perfectly accepted, without having to touch the subject. Not so much because he did not want it necessary to be told, but I did not trusted EA to tell a story like this, correctly. So,
Oh god, no.
yeah.
No.
I mean, when you're actively endorsing someone and you're not doing anything, like in this case, you might actually pass as,
Wasn't he the
supporting.
guy saying the other day, "Oh, we don't want you down there because of Robinson"?
It's amazing how stuff will change when reputation and finances are put on the line. Eh. Harold here is played by T.R. Knight,
Let me see.
also from Grey's Anatomy, god damn it.
So we have a couple of Disney veterans here.
To be fair, I feel like I can count easier on my hand the list of people who haven't shown up in Grey's Anatomy. But yes, to put a cap to Ben Chapman's story, in order to salvage reputation and face, he would have to shake hands with Jackie Robinson, act cordial with him from then on here and there. Oh, but it gets even better. In spite of that, he would still be fired a year later. And you want to know the best part? Whereas Jackie Robinson went on to, fame and glory, Ben Chapman would just be remembered as the guy who addled Jackie Robinson wrong. And this was in spite of a stunning baseball career he had. He would not be remembered fondly, and yeah, as such, died with a tarnished reputation in 1993. Oh, but the real cherry on the top here, his son, who went on to also be a manager for baseball, was much more progressive than him, which he was apparently proud of. Supposedly, he may have seen the error of his ways near the time of his death, but it was kind of too little too late for the reputation.
Obviously.
Ben Chapman's first wife divorced him, and in the petition for the divorce, Chapman got charged with domestic violence.
Oof. So it
yeah.
might have been a prerequisite for a couple of baseball players, because again, Joe DiMaggio was not a saint either.
Basically, the story of Ben Chapman ends with true karma hitting him.
Well, there's also the thing, Joe, again, it's very common one way or another that a lot of children would adopt the opposite ideology of their parents, potentially either just because to piss them off, or because they just believe they're not in the right.
He claimed in an interview that he was glad he raised his son better, hence his son not being racist like him, so that may have been him trying to take credit for that, god dang it. Again, maybe he got better, but what matters is he got his just dues for how he acted. And it says something because that overshadowed his amazing career beforehand. He could have had it all if, he wasn't a bigoted jerk.
All right. As for the whole thing of Osterweller earlier,
yes.
Okay. Apparently, the shot here of him deliberately throwing a baseball to Robinson's head. Apparently, in reality, it hit Robinson on his left wrist.
Huh.
And he says it wasn't. And he says, "No, I wasn't doing it with any racist intent."
Was he injured to the point of not being able to play for a while?
That I don't really know.
Okay. Also, while I was checking with TR Knight's career, filmography and everything, I just discovered that there was a Will and Grace revival, and I don't understand why.
A what now, revival?
TV series, I remember seeing a few episodes when I was a kid, Will and Grace. It's not, as far as I know, it's not particularly, yeah, as far as I know, it's not particularly good.
Also, looking at the actual photo of Jackie Robinson and Ben Chapman, I was like, yeah, I can see why they cast it onto it.
I know, right? They got people who look the role.
Here's the photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see they went with the likeness.
Pee Wee Reese, played by Lucas Black, who was Sean in Fast and Furious's 3, 7, and 9.
God, he slimmed up. But yeah, for all the complaints he has about getting hate mail, Jackie Robinson gets a whole lot more.
I also know the guy Lucas Black lives from the series NCIS. He played one of the major characters, particularly in the New Orleans, spin-off. If I recall correctly, it's the same series that has that Portuguese actress that Pedro talked us about. All right. Also, I think I just realized I might still know something slightly more about about baseball, because I think God damn it, I might be the only one who knows it. I need to check something in the meantime. Yeah, there we go. Apparently, one VTuber that I tend to follow, Gorgura, recently did a reenactment of the music theme, I guess, seeing of the actual Dodgers at the stadium as encouragement, and apparently that was enough for the Dodgers to actually win. Oh, there is that. There's your trivia. It's ironic because T'Challa will premiere in the movie called
this
Civil
guy,
War.
he looks so familiar.
Like I said,
That's Lucas Black.
Like I said, that you've seen the Fast and Furious movie, so you might recognize him from there.
Oh yeah, that's that's
he's
Lucas.
Sean from the yes.
Guy, he's in the worst Fast and Furious movie. I mean,
I mean, yeah, Tokyo Drift sucks, but yeah.
Although nowadays I'm hearing people say stuff like 10
Sean.
or...
His name was Sean.
Sean.
Although nowadays I'm hearing people say stuff like 10's the worst.
10's weird.
10 is very. They want to be Avengers Infinity War.
Oh,
It's
God.
okay. It's Avengers Infinity War, but the but if the camera work were very distinctively French styled.
Love that scene in the movie with Pee Wee standing up for Robinson.
Because the director's French.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen Fast and Furious 9 and 10 yet. Again, I've heard people say that at this point the franchise is starting to get a little tired.
If I'm being completely honest, to me, as of right now, the worst one is 9.
About time they share the shower together.
Well, I mean, you can be his wingman anytime, huh? Yeah.
Well, we're getting progressive with the racism, but LGBTQ, we still need to work on that.
What's worse is that I can see that as an average type of, social link interaction in a Persona modern game.
The majestic music for him joining them in the shower.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that means you have to score another goal to win. I don't know.
Well, okay, if I understand correctly, even if they did 2 home runs, the points that they gained were not sufficient just yet.
So it'd be like if you caught the golden snitch, but you were more than 150 points behind at the time.
To an extent, but that doesn't mean necessarily the end of a match. My God, it's like that scene from After Earth where the guy has to stand up.
Yeah, so, yeah, no, don't take revenge out in the super aggressive way.
In
Just
the wise words of modern philosophy, lives violence does indeed brings violence, but in the end it has to be this way. Yeah, shush. Fucking journalists. Oh well, we had to actually to stitch him.
Cleats, pretty sharp, especially back then. Nowadays, I believe most cleats are thankfully made of,
Less hazardous, stuff, I hope.
yeah. In a way that would not get him canceled,
Yeah, I was
thank
about to say,
goodness.
not in a
yeah, I was gonna say
minstrelly kind of
he's not
way.
because when he said he was rubbing dirt on his hands, I thought he was gonna say he then rubbed it. And
No.
God, thank God it didn't turn out like that.
Ah, yes, the famous time when Jesse Owens made a fool out of Adolf Hitler. What happened to the game that I used to love?
I do wonder if originally they were considering Tom Hanks for this role. Because
Oh god, this does feel like a Tom Hanks role now that you mention
although
it.
it's kind of hilarious because have you actually guys seen the Elvis biopic that came out a few years ago? One of the most infamous scenes is the first time Tom Hanks' character, sees Elvis performing. There is even an awkward close-up to his face and he's like, he's white?
So yeah, it's funny you mention it because I was thinking about this entire commentary.
Oh, yeah, Tom Hanks does just kind of have that sort of God, what's the word I'm looking
feel
for?
good kind of role that he gets packaged for all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Complete with the slow-mo.
Well, there are versions of tennis that require teamwork.
Yeah, we're not, again, no allegations, we swear.
And everyone wanted his autograph.
No.
The framing, is this another, asshole guy?
Well, I mean, okay, it didn't happen in real life, but in the movie, he was depicting it in deliberately throwing
Oh,
the
he's the guy.
baseball at his head.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
guy. Okay, my bad. Let me check who he's actually played by. Ostermüller. Lick Hand. I guess he is German.
That's the thing, though. I think he was. I think
Born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama. Okay.
Yeah, because the man himself was born in America. He probably maybe had German
Heritage,
parents. I don't know.
probably. He's done a lot of TV mostly. Okay.
Damn right.
Yeah, I don't recognize anything in his career. Oh, okay. He was in a few episodes of CSI.
Yeah, you can tell this is Brooklyn.
Just like you remember it, Dej.
No, just how the buildings are structured.
Mm-hmm. Boy, Mark
What's on
Isham
his
had.
own there?
He's in an empty field that he's listening to.
Oh, yeah, for a second I thought it was like one half of the pitch was full and the other half is empty.
Curses. Foiled again.
And there's Higby, who got booted to Pittsburgh.
I don't think I checked who the ex-player, now the new manager, is played by. Uh,
Man, does Mark Isham compose for much else? I'm surprised I haven't heard of him more with the music like
Let me
this.
see. Okay, here we go. Films. Okay, no, that's not what I'm thinking. He has composed for a lot, but let me see if I can find
Point
something
Break.
starting from the more recent stuff. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Heard of that one.
Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Which I heard was good.
The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Jeez, did somebody tell Mark he was composing for a superhero film?
The Mist, the movie that was based on a Stephen King story.
Heard of that one.
The Black Dahlia in 2006. The movie that I talked about before, Hardball. So talk about typecasting.
Wow.
Branch Rickey was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in '67.
Basically composed for a lot of stuff and he's still doing it, just that a lot of stuff is not well known.
Oh, good for him.
Pee Wee Reese was elected to the same place in 1984. Journalist.
It's nice that at least we get up where are we now.
I suppose couldn't read all that, damn it, movie.
The first African American
to join the
writer.
association.
Round to represent those Cardinals, Chicago White Sox, and the Texas Rangers.
Uncle was a three-time All-Star. He won 21 games 1947. Lisa was in Rye, New York.
In 1948, Ben Chapman was fired and never managed to get.
With that smile.
I love how, that's the Dixie Walker was traded the following season to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Is that like the equivalent of take the scene, take him to Detroit?
I love how that's the funniest thing.
Ed Charles grew up to become a Major League Baseball player. Yep.
It lists the players who had who went on to accomplish some stuff in it. And then it's and then it's just go, oh yeah, the fucking racist washed out.
Again, it mirrors reality. He got remembered more for the racism than any of his achievements.
Major League year 1947. 1948 was joined by Roy Campanella. In 1949 by Don Newcomb. Won World Series 1955 against the New York Yankees, stealing home in Game 1. I guess it's a big thing.
Yankees are a big deal, yeah.
Was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962. Oh, stock footage. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Every year in April, MLB players wear the number 42 as a reminder of Jackie's accomplishment in, on, the off the field.
That's how big he became.
Number 42 is the only number retired by all of baseball.
Again, I appreciate that we get this kind of conclusion that actually explains stuff. And also tells us where are we now. But again, the stock footage is also very appreciated.
Yes.
But where's my post-credit scene where he meets Jody Maggio?
If only.
Okay, can I go first to be final thoughts?
Go on, Dwebs.
Sure.
I'll be quick. Okay. First off, that is the one of the best "Where Are They Now" things I've ever seen in the credits of a movie. Lists players with their accomplishments. Then it cut. Then the next one is that this guy's only remembered for being a racist and he never managed again.
It's kind of like the polar opposite of The Blind Side, where he basically says that all the gang members, died off very unceremoniously.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. As for the rest of the movie, yeah, I thought it's solid. Where everyone involved, especially Bozeman, gives a very good performance. Even Alan Tudyk even plays his role well. It's just a pretty thankless role. Who actively wants to play a racist?
Mm-hmm.
But he does it. He does it well.
Mm-hmm.
The only negative I can think of really with this movie is that I think some of the I know I didn't mention it in the during the rest of the movie, but I'll mention it now. Some of the green screen they use for the historical baseball scenes, it's not that great. It just comes off to me like they're just standing in front of a green screen and trying their best to act off that, but they're not really there. It just looks like they're standing in front of a picture.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only real negative I've got with the movie. Some really questionable CSO. The music's good. The story they tell is good. But basically, don't be a racist git or you'll be forgotten. I mean, I wish this thing kind of happened more often. Yeah, don't be a shitty person or else you'll only be remembered for being shitty.
Mm-hmm.
How much experience do you have with baseball rated movies, Libs? I forgot if I asked.
I've seen some baseball-centric episodes of some TV shows. Does the beginning of Space Jam count?
I think Hook counted more.
Jesus. I mean, technically, that was historically accurate in Space Jam. Michael Jordan deciding to be a baseball player.
Apparently, was he really that bad?
Well, okay, to his credit, he did make it up to some relatively major leagues, which, some kudos has to be given for that accomplishment. But yeah, no, he was...
Like, you can't, just because you're great at one sport doesn't automatically mean you're going to be good at the other.
Mm-hmm.
There was his little tenure with golf, which I think went better than the baseball stuff, but the golf thing lasted even shorter time, if I recall correctly.
But yeah, that's really about it. Except, okay, maybe I could watch more baseball movies.
Maybe.
Also,
I'll just try and avoid any really bad ones.
I found interesting now, just a minor trivia. Apparently, for some method acting, again, nothing particularly eclectic, but apparently Alan Tudyk and Chadwick Boseman deliberately avoided, seeing and talking to each other during the shoots, except on camera, so we would not form any friendliness bond during the set.
I guess I can kind of get it. They probably became more friendly after the shooting was done with Tudyk scenes, but I get it,
It's not that much different from when Ridley Scott had the guy who was playing the alien in a suit, the xenomorph, deliberately avoid the rest of the cast in the first Alien movie.
Yeah. You see, Mr. Leto, that's how you do method acting.
But Reeves, he won an Academy Award that year. That means he's good at his job.
So basically, his moral is that if I want an Academy Award, I too should send people used condoms.
Or to quote better Joseph Ferris, fuck the Oscars.
I wonder if that Academy Award gave him his ego. Yes, sadly there are people who still take those awards so seriously that they'll practically sell their soul to get an Academy Award.
It was also the year where Frozen was Best Animated Feature Film and the Best Song. So, yeah, I can imagine someone got their ego boosted by that year.
I think it speaks a lot to Tudyk's charisma that in spite of playing someone as heinous as Ben Chapman, he is still looked on fondly. So, as far as we know, Alan Tudyk is a decent guy in person.
Again, the only way it can end badly if we actually, discover where it actually happens with the person in your life. Otherwise, it seems that paper is one of those cases where media literacy actually prevails.
You gotta love the irony when you have a terrible person play a good person in film, but you have a good person play a terrible person in film, which,
it's kind of the irony that happened with Pearl Harbor. Back when it came out, everyone was lambasting Ben Affleck and praising instead Cuba Gooding Jr. And look what happened.
Oh, wow, Jesus.
Including South Park, by the way.
To his credit, Ben Affleck was apparently a piece of work back then, but yeah, how history developed. Anyway,
you're done, Dwibs?
That's it for your final thoughts, Dwibs?
Yeah, that's me done.
All right, Tio.
Yeah, I'll go next. Okay, as a general thought, I think I mentioned this also in movies commentary like Blindside and United Passions. Sport movies tends to be not delicate, but something that are make it or break it for me, because I tend to be easily bored unless something peculiar is happening for a sport movie, regardless of the quality, mind you. For this one, I would say that it's perfectly fine. Like, it's not something that I would have actually seek out, or chose among, a couple of them. But if it was, say, let's say hypothetically, I was still in school by the time this came out, and this was given to us for education, I would have not turned my eyes for that, Again, there is definitely value. I can definitely feel the genuinity. This does not feel like too much of an Oscar bait movie, nor wants to be a feel good time, wanting to impress the audience, and making them feel sad or something like that. No, it feels kind of genuine in retelling the story of what happened, and I actually appreciate it for it. It's that kind of honesty that I wish was more present in not necessarily propaganda, but movies with a message, because that's kind of what is being lost in a lot, not all, but in a lot of cases these days. Again, I know very little about baseball, as I made no secret about it, so a lot of the technicalities escape me, like the importance, the rankings, and stuff like that, but the movie does a decent enough job, even if it doesn't explain really a lot. It does a decent enough job in, not being too much, newcomer hostile. There's still definitely a minimal knowledge requirement, if you ask me, but then again, I think it's fine. As for the actual story of, what happened in real life. Again, this is a story that I did not knew much about before watching this movie, kind of going a bit blind. But I think the movie did a good job in actually telling me what happened and everything. I interestingly find the choice of not going a lot over the life that Jackie had before his baseball career, because we start almost immediately the movie with him proposing to his girlfriend, and I was thinking, is it a case where we don't see much of them, and as a result, the chemistry between them might not be enough because we did not have a lot of build up? But no, it's fine enough throughout the entire movie. Sure, we still go not from the beginning of their relationship, but considering it lasts for the entire movie, and we get to see all facets of that, it's done decently enough, if you ask me. The struggles when it happened. And from what I checked and from what also Jova told, it seems that they respected, the accuracy for the most part. They only had one or two artistic license moments, but otherwise they stick close to real-life events. And again, it does include elements like untold characters, having to slur away, which again, I know that it makes a lot of people on these days uncomfortable, and I fully understand that if that actually turns you away from the movie, It's something similar, not exactly, completely, but it's something similar of what some filmmakers like Stanley Kubrick actually did, as the rest of us noted when we commented on The Shining, his version of The Shining. Again, it's a personal preference, but I do believe genuinely, personally, that for the sake of this particular story, it was contained enough to be on an educational level to understand what that kind of, prejudice was. Sure, it probably could have worked even without that. I don't discount the possibility. So, if for someone that's not too comfortable with that option would wish there was, a way to represent that without, I would not mind if that happened. So, don't take it as me saying, oh, we do need at all cost that to happen, But again, I do believe that what the movie did was constructed well enough. And again, so far it has proven to be, understandable as a case. Again, knowing my luck, it might actually happen, So if Alan Tudyk turns out to have, his own skeleton in the closet tied to this specific problem in the future, well, I guess I just called myself out once again, but, it has happened
what they
already
say.
so many times, so...
It's like they say, hindsight is 20/20, and we are not foretellers of the future. Like, if it's the case, sadly, that will be the case. But I guess we'll be able to say that Tudyk really embraced the role.
Yeah, let's just talking this for the present, when we're actually commenting on this. Again, I do believe the actor did a fine enough job, and it was actually understandable. Again, I understand if someone seeing that will still feel uncomfortable about it, because, it's not like there is a very good reason why words, have been encouraged to not being used anymore. In the words of Depeche Mode, to quote partially, they are unnecessary and they can only do harm. But, again, purpose of the movie, I get it. Couldn't live without it, but for what it is, they did a different job. For the rest of the story, again, it's interesting to see Harrison Ford in a role that, is kind of out of his comfort zone. Although I kind of noticed that as the movie progresses, his makeup kind of stops, progressively, not deteriorates, but, stops being super detailed. I don't know if that was the idea to represent the character aging, but I don't think that was the intention. But then again, this movie had a very little budget, so... I can, excuse that. All the other characters, also, the actors did properly the role. First of all, obviously Chadwick Boseman for the role. Not really an easy task, especially because, as mentioned, this was his star-making role. He was not super well known before that. And again, I like the genuinity, which is, I think, the strongest suits of this movie. Maybe it's not something that I will watch, immediately again. But maybe once in a while, and at least to recommend to some people that want to know, especially people who might be sports fan, because another particular beauty of this is that unlike stuff like United Passions, this is a sports movie that also remembers to be about sports without being too ham-fisted about it. You generally still get to see, the matches in some capacity. Sure, it has potentially a common trapping on other sports movie, like the one that I kept mentioning, Hardball. I genuinely tell you, audience, it really is that bad. But
you have me tempted, so tempted to see
let me just put it this way, Jova. Like I said, aside from what I said at the beginning, that Deji also corroborated, it's kind of like it falls into the trapping that this movie did. It emotionally manipulates the viewer like a puppet under strings into saying you need to feel, emotionally attached to these people, and now you need to feel like this, and I feel like this, and at the end you need to feel bad because this kid got killed in an accident as a result.
My god, this movie had both Keanu Reeves and Michael B. Jordan in it.
He probably was very young. Yeah, he was very young at that point.
Was he the one that got shot?
Oh god, it's possible. I don't remember if it was him, but again, my point, Jova, it's a bad movie. I wouldn't recommend it unless you want to get really drunk. And I do know that you don't get tempted by the demon in the bottle, so I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, again, not much more that I can add. It's good for educational purposes. It's good for telling a story. It's not. It will not convince me otherwise to continue watch sports movie from now on. There you go. But at the same time, I think it did a good enough job to be both educational on the matter and entertaining for what the story that it wanted to tell. Because it understands that. In order to not be too bleak, he had to talk about some of the more good times that also, Jackie passed. And obviously had its more, optimistic kind of look. Again, this was done in 2013, a time of growing optimism. It was 2015, 2016 that big changing. I don't mean just for the elections, obviously, but, this was still in a time where this movie was kind of perfect to be made. Not much more to say aside from this probably needed, at least a nomination for Oscar. At the very least, Chadwick Boseman as Best Actor. You could have given that. Come on.
Yeah.
But that's it for me.
Edge.
Well, I can't top what Tio has said, but I will say this was actually a very engaging movie. I'm glad that they didn't try to overplay or downplay Jackie Robinson as a person, and show him like his pros and cons. You can tell that he's a loving husband, and while we didn't get to see much time with his kid, we do know that he wants to be with his child because of his past.
His father
and also,
kind of walking out on them, yeah.
Also, just demonstrates how life was like during that era. Because if you look up history, yeah. Especially since he was in Florida, ooh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good movie. Chadwick Boseman did his job, did a good job. It's fascinating seeing Harrison Ford in a role like this. Like, he's less bitter, more gruff. He's a lot kinder, but he still doesn't take bullshit.
Exactly.
It's also really funny that Tio and I saw Air Force One a couple days ago.
Yeah. I show it to him in preparation if he ever will see Captain America: Brave New World.
Oh yeah, good movie. Thanks for showing me this, Jova.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I guess that leaves me then. I love this movie. Like, oh man, when I first saw it, was shown to me. God, I think it was maybe 2020 I finally saw this movie. It's like, I was a bit skeptical at first because, like Tio, I'm not the biggest on sports films. Like, let me put it like this. Give me a good sports film, I'll probably enjoy it, but man, a lot of sports films do tend to kind of go in one ear out the other with me. Now, if it's made engaging enough, though, I can enjoy it. So, it's not like I'm completely off of sports films, it's just that, well, in my experience, not a lot of sports films have been the best. This is a sports film that pretty much does what a sports film should do. Get you to care about the sport and the characters well. Even in a way that you don't have to know all the major specifics of the game, but it gives you a good enough tutorial inferred to you in sense here. But it's also great for historical showings because it is very accurate. One thing I do like with, well, historical films, of course, but the liberties it takes actually do serve the film in a good way, essentially. And it's not like they go too off the walls with them anyway. It's more so to really emphasize the hardships and drama, and in some cases, the ups, too, of Jackie Robinson's life here. I like that overall it is a message for positive sake, but it's not blind optimism. Like, they do not try and sugarcoat how things are. Yes, you have actors saying the N-word, basically, just to show you that, yeah, it was tough. And while the karma given to some is satisfying, there are still others that still go on with it, essentially. But all in all, Jackie Robinson rises above it, which is definitely in a time like this, a good reminder that, yeah, even if things sadly are not looking the best today, we can potentially rise above it, as was done in the past when things were, God, even worse. The casting, all phenomenal. They got actors who could definitely act, and the makeup department did wonderful getting them to resemble their real-life counterparts, essentially. Especially with Alan Tudyk, as Dej mentioned, here and there. Chadwick Boseman, though, like, I don't know when he got the bad news about the cancer, but I do know that there was definitely a segment in time where he just went for the most intense, the most dedicated, and just threshold-breaking roles, and Jackie Robinson is no exception. Holy cow, like, you forget you're seeing actors a lot of time in this movie. Like, that's how deep it all feels, and it's just wonderful. And Mark Isham, it's kind of a shame I haven't heard of this guy, because the score he gives this movie is phenomenal, essentially. I'm guessing his score here is better than in Hardball 2, Tio?
Don't remember much of the score from that movie, so I cannot tell.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, all joking aside, Isham definitely gave his 120% to this. Like, It's honestly hard for me to think of anything that really falls short. Even the green screen that Dwibs talked about, I didn't really notice that as much. But yeah, I mean, the few effects that they did use just help the, accuracy all the better, essentially. Which, hey, if you want to use technology like that, be my guest, essentially. It's not hurting anyone. Yeah, no. 42 is a great tribute to Jackie Robinson, the player. It is definitely something to remember Chadwick Boseman by for the dedication he gave to it and all the actors in general. It is just a phenomenal movie. It's a good movie to inspire, and it's just also great for the educational value here. I highly recommend this movie, and more to come. So, whatever we shall tackle next year for Black History Month, we shall see you later for.
See ya.
Bye.